Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. You're watching the In Deep on the Delta Fishing Report for the week of November 11th. And it's been a bit of a down week. It's been tough, but it's not all gloom and doom. And we're going to start off with a high point. And I'd like to congratulate a couple of local anglers. That's Jax and Nate. Jax and Nate are high school anglers. They're fishing for Delta High School Saints fishing team. There are a couple of young guys that are Delta rats, but last week they went up to Shasta and they came home with a 4th place finish. So congratulations to Jax and Nate. And I'd also like to say that anybody out there that is working with any of the high school fishing teams or local youth organizations that are promoting fishing, let me know. Hit me up on what you guys are doing, and I'll be glad to promote your organization on In Deep on the Delta. All right, back to the report, and let me start off by saying I really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. The hits that I've been getting have been going up, through the summer, and I want to keep you guys watching the report through the winter when we may not have the greatest report. So I'm going to try to spice it up, and through the winter months here when it may kind of flatten out and my report may be getting a little stale, I'm going to try to do some things that keep you guys watching. We'll still give you the information on the river conditions and what's going on out here, but I'm going to have some people hopefully coming on the show and giving you a little different idea of what they see the river is doing. And today we're going to have a friend of mine, Nick Kanemoto, from the Bass Hookup. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know Nick. The Bass Hookup has been around longer than In Deep on the Delta. A lot of you guys watch his channel, but I got a chance to fish with Nick this week. And we had a conversation that I filmed, and Nick's going to be doing the portion of the show today for the Largemouth Bass Report. He's going to give you his idea on what he's been seeing out here, just a little different perspective than what I may see, and he's going to give you some suggestions on what you might be able to do to catch some fish next week. All right, with that being said, let's get right into the striper report. And stripers haven't been affected quite as much as the largemouth bass with everything that's been going on in the last week with the weather fronts coming in, rain, kind of cold fronts, water clarity. So the stripers are still on a bite, but they are not on a great bite, and stripers have been tough. So let's just start off with water quality. If you guys have been out here, it's going to be about the same as it's been the last couple weeks. If anything, the clarity is going to be a little less. So anywhere from about 1 to 5 feet of clarity, depending on if you're north or south. The clarity is staying the same. It's not really clearing up at all. Temperatures are dropping maybe slightly, but still early in the week this week it was 63 degrees midday, and it starts out about 60 degrees. So that's in the central delta. If you're going way up north, it's probably a couple of degrees cooler, but river conditions haven't changed. I've got reports from Hook, Line, and Sinker here in Hook, Line, and Sinker in Oakley and Outdoor Sportsman in Stockton. Not a whole lot of talk going on about stripers, but the talk that their customers have been relaying to them is that it has been slow. It's tough. It's not like it was a couple of weeks ago. Now, here's the upside of the striper report. I talked to Jeff Soo Hoo and from Soo Hoo Sport Fishing, and I also talked to Haps Bait, and we'll go over what Jeff said first. And you guys know Jeff. He's one of the best guys out here. He's always catching fish, and he says, Steve, it's not that I'm not catching fish. I'm getting fish from my clients. We're getting limits, but I have to really work for the fish. I'm moving around a lot more, and he's using all of his years of experience to put his clients on fishing. And he's saying, again, it's not in years past where, it's not like in years past where people are not catching fish or it's really slow and they're just saying, there's no fish out here. Jeff is finding fish. They're out here. They're all over. They're just not on a big bite. And the report that I got from Haps is kind of the same thing. Their bite, they're still seeing a fairly strong bite, a lot of their clients are bait fishing. Now, their clients are not picking up big numbers of fish, but Haps is reporting that a lot of fish are still coming in, and they're getting some good size fish. Most of the people that are catching fish are using live mud suckers, and they're fishing between 3 Mile Slough and the bridge. But my suggestion, if you are going to go out striper fishing, head over to Haps, get yourself some live mud suckers, and bear down on them and put your time in, and you've got a chance to get a big fish. But don't expect big numbers of fish, just maybe better quality. And until we get some water flow or a little clarity or something changes, that's probably going to stay about the same. With that, we're going to get right into the largemouth bass report, and I'm going to turn this over to Nick. I'm going to play a little interview that I had with Nick at the beginning of the week, and everything that we talked about in that interview, it's pretty much right on for what's going on here this Thursday. So before I turn it over to Nick, I would like to also say I'm going to upload a video right after I do the report, and it is a different interview with Nick, and he's going to talk about a new bait company that he's basically behind, and it's called First Gen Fishing. And he's got some new baits that are coming out that I think are going to be really fun baits to fish, and they're going to be really productive baits. So after you watch the report, check out the In Deep on the Delta interview with Nick Kanemoto, and he's going to talk about First Gen Fishing baits. He's going to give you an insight on just a couple of the baits that are coming out. These baits aren't on the market yet, but they're going to be out within the next few weeks. You'll be able to get them at Tackle Warehouse, so I want you to check that out. A lot of you guys know Nick, as I said before. Great guy, local guy that we need to support. So check that out after the report, and I'm going to turn it over to Nick. And today I've got Nick Kanemoto from the Bass Hookup. You guys know Nick, and we've been out this morning, and we've had a tough go of it this morning. It's Sunday, and what's the date today?
The 7th.
Yeah. It's the second day of the Wild West tournament, and the fishing's not really popping out here. And I'll tell you, I got Nick on board, and we're putting our heads together out here. Nick got a nice striper this morning, and I think we probably caught, I don't know how many dinks, and we may have put 3 or 4 keepers in the boat, but
maybe
we're not punching a bunch of big fish out here. So I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing water temperature 62 degrees. We've got, the visibility is not terrible, it's not great, but we've got 3-4 foot of visibility.
Yeah, right here. Yep.
Yeah, right here. You maybe we'll say 2 to 5 throughout the delta, just finding what you're doing. We have a good tide today. It's a good tidal coefficient. We've got moving water, and we're just, for me, I don't know what to tell you guys. And Nick, I'm glad you're here, because I'm going to turn this portion over to you, and I'll tell them, what I've been doing. I've been trying to just pick up some fish on some reaction baits, and I'm throwing my jerk baits, and I threw a worm a little bit, and I've been throwing some bladed jigs.
Yeah.
Nick, you threw that underspin with your new bait on it there. Not the underspin, the
top spin.
The top spin with a 2.3 Kitech.
Yep, throwing it with a So just throwing the top spin with actually, I think on that one I have a 4.3 Kitech,
mm-hmm.
and right now fishing's been tough, but I think if you're coming out here, I wouldn't be looking for a big bag.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just be looking to catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have a good time and catch fish no matter what the size. And it seems like all of our fish are in heavy current, right? So I'd be looking for cut-throughs with heavy current, anywhere the current's really rushing into a bank.
Mm-hmm.
So like the points, a rocky point, or if the current's, whether coming in or out of the system, where that stuff is hitting the rocks or hitting the Thule berm,
mm-hmm.
seems like they're right in that heavy current. That's where we've gotten all our bites.
And we do know that the guys from the the Wild West tournament have been punching out here or flipping. Mm-hmm. There were only 2 20-pound bags the first 2 days of the Wild West tournament, and I just want to let you guys know that the guys that got those 20-pound bags, you know them both, don't you?
Yeah, I know them. Yeah.
These guys don't need directions to get to the river, right?
Right. They know it like the back of their hand, and they're willing to burn, and I know they burned, you know, all 50, 60 gallons of gas in one day to get to those fish.
So you know, that's something that a weekend guy, I mean, you shouldn't set your height, your sights at that 20-pound bag right now. Like Nick was saying, come out, you're going to go through some dinks, you're going to have some fun, maybe put on a spinning rod in a smaller, you know, so that you can enjoy the fish in the, we'll say 10 to 14 inch class. You may get a big fish. I'll also just interject one thing. If you look at the Wild West weights, there's a 70 pros fishing, and around 35, those guys are really scratching to get 10 pounds a day. And there were a lot of guys with 3-pound bags, 4-pound bags, and these are pros. Let alone the AM side. The AMs were, you know, they're behind the pros obviously, but they are struggling with, I'd say, the average AM behind the pro. You have to remember, they're fishing behind the pro, but they're fishing in the pro's water. They're fishing good water, presumably, and they were picking up 3 to 4 or 5 pounds. 9 pounds was ahead of the amateur.
Yeah, and I can see exactly why after fishing today, why the weights are what they are. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah. So hey, that's it, guys. I had Nick on the boat. I wanted him to just interject a little bit so you know that I'm not lying to you guys out here. You know, if I'm catching fish, I'll tell you I'm catching fish, and today Nick could tell you I'm not catching many fish. So with that, next week, I really don't know what to expect. I mean, we've got, conditions are fine out here. I think we're going to have decent weather. There's not a lot of rain coming in. The barometer's not moving. As long as this, you know, we get this 65, 70 degree weather, I think we should have decent fishing sooner or later. Is the bite going to pick up, Nick?
I think the bite should pick up. You know what? I think maybe the bite will pick up once the water temps drop below 60. I think maybe that 55 to 60 range seems like it's always good, fall or spring.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to play this back for you when the water gets below 60
and the
degrees.
bite will be on.
And if the bite's on, we'll play it back. If not, I won't play it back. But those are the words from Nick here. So again, thanks, Nick.
All right, thanks, Steve.
We're going to go out and try to catch some fish this afternoon, and thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to In Deep on the Delta, and make sure you watch and subscribe to the Bass Hookup. I might have, if you don't know Nick, he is a local guy, and he's been doing videos out here a lot longer than I have, and a lot of local videos on the Delta, along with Berryessa, Clear Lake, small pond fishing for you guys that are watching in kayaks. Nick is boatless right now, and he is actually fishing out of a kayak. So he's got a couple of kayak videos out, and they're fun to watch. So with that, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully you catch some fish, and see you at the next video.